Okay, so now you say we've talked about nasal breathing, and we've talked about the importance of slowing down the breath. We've talked about some of the physiology of oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange. We've talked about some of the benefits of nasal breathing in terms of increasing nitric oxide in our body, and the nasal breathing and the potential vibrations of the olfactory bulb and affecting our brain. All stuff that I guarantee you in the next 2-3 years is just going to explode, and you guys are going to be like, wow, I've been practicing this and I've been noticing the benefits of it. All right, here's the questions that I always get is well, how much nasal breathing do I need to do? Gee, I have zero time in my day because all I'm doing is spending time on Facebook, so I have no time to breathe. How many breaths can I take to have the benefits of it, right? It's it's a good question. It's a good question. So I have two studies here. One was published in 2021. So you see, this stuff is recent. It's not like it's not like they've been doing this for years. People are asking these questions, and I believe it was like November of 2021, and it was one of the papers on the references that I sent to Linda, and the title is, all right, benefits from one session of deep and slow breathing on vagal tone and anxiety in young and older adults. So you guys are all young and older adults. All right. So one session. Now you ask, well, how long was that session? Right? Was it 4 hours? Was it 6 hours? One session. The session was 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay. That's what this entire study that was published in Scientific Reports in November of 2021, so 5 months ago, looked at a 5-minute exercise of deep and slow breathing on vagal tone and anxiety. So vagal tone, right? Whenever you hear anything about the vagus nerve, vagal tone, stuff that we've covered already, but we'll cover again. All right, the vagus nerve is cranial nerve number 10. It's the major nerve that affects the parasympathetic nervous system. All right, it goes to every organ in the body. Okay. It goes to every organ in the body. It is the main driver of the parasympathetic nervous system. So that the parasympathetic nervous system helps balance the sympathetic nervous system. So when we talk about vagal tone, what we're talking about is if you do exercises that help increase vagal tone, right? Vagal tone. So the tone, it's kind of an interesting term, right? The tone of your vagus nerve. So if you want to increase your vagal tone, that means that you have good vagal tone activity. That means that you probably have a well-balanced parasympathetic nervous system. If you have poor vagal tone, or if you do exercises that decrease vagal tone, then it's sort of like now the string on your guitar is like you hit it, you don't really get good tone coming out of it, right? Dong, as opposed to like somebody who's done some good exercising, you ding. So the tone, if you hear that term like, oh, this increases vagal tone, what you're knowing from that is that it helps increase parasympathetic nerve activity. And that's the rest and digest. That's the one that most of us probably don't have enough of because we're so stressed and we're firing our sympathetic. All right. So benefits from one session of deep and slow breathing on vagal tone and anxiety in young and older adults. And they measured vagal tone by measuring heart rate variability, which is also what we discussed. All right, so you see how these things keep on coming up. in terms of some of these techniques is how do we help increase vagal tone? How do we help balance our parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system? Because in any one of our meditations, we might be activated. We might go into a fight or flight response. And so therefore, having techniques and tools that help us reorient, that help us realign, that help us be able to be in that zone of tolerance and be more resilient with what's occurring in the moment with us, whatever it is important. Okay. And so heart rate variability is that ability of your heart rate to actually be variable. That a high heart rate variability shows that you have really good resiliency, really good balance between your sympathetic and parasympathetic, sympathetic and parasympathetic, sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, right? Because we don't want just one firing. We want it's a nice dance. It's a nice dance. It's a nice sort of yin and yang, right? It's the thing that we talked about also with the breath of the natural expansion and contraction, right? The polarities of these things. Okay. And so they measured heart rate variability because this is what they say. And I'm going to read this because what we talk about, right? And then to hear them put it into language, I thought that this was really, really beautiful. And so I'm going to read it because I think it's beautiful. And then you see what I think is beautiful. I'm such a nut, aren't I? I'm such a nut. All right. So breathing can indeed directly affect the activity of the autonomic nervous system, including the heart rate. Heart rate is regulated by a dynamic balance between the sympathetic nervous system, mainly associated with the physiological fight or flight responses, and the parasympathetic nervous system, depending on vagal activity, mainly related to energy conservation, rest, and relaxation. During inhalation, the cardiovascular center inhibits vagal outflow. Did you guys get that? No. See, that's why we talk about vagal tone. So during inhalation, which is breathing in, the cardiovascular center, the heart center, inhibits, blocks, vagus nerve outflow. So during inhalation, you're blocking the vagus nerve. So what are you doing? You're blocking parasympathetic activity, thus resulting in sympathetic predominance, which speeds up the heart rate. So during inhalation, you're blocking vagal activity, sympathetic tone increases, heart rate increases. Okay. Conversely, during exhalation, the vagal outflow is restored and results in a slowing down of the heart rate. So here you go, right? Vagus, in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath, in. And you're doing this 18 times a minute. How are you doing this? Right? Wow, if it's that important, if we can actually help regulate this, which is what the breath does, which is why we've taken now 3 to 4 weeks to actually go over the breath, which is why it's so important. Okay. Wow, maybe we can actually bring some balance and resiliency to our own nervous system and then be able to cope with what occurs in life. Conversely, during exhalation, the vagal outflow is restored and results in slowing down of the heart rate. The balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic influences is reflected by heart rate variability, which is the fluctuation of instantaneous heart period over time. Since heart rate variability reflects the activity of the autonomic nervous system, it is often used to reliably assess the physiological stress response, as a low parasympathetic activity is considered as a marker of stress and can be a powerful tool for testing effective relaxation techniques based on breathing. So what did they do? Therefore, the breathing exercise even as short as 5 minutes, proposing an equal inhalation to exhalation ratio, promotes a balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic activity, increasing heart rate variability, and promoting psychophysiological coherence. Psychophysiological coherence. Coherence between the mind and the body by your breath, by balancing, by helping to balance your sympathetic and parasympathetic activity in consciously, just simply using your breath. Okay. In the case of anxiety, just listen. It's amazing. It might be preferable to reinforce the parasympathetic activity beyond the point of equilibrium in order to maximize relaxation. So 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out on your breath. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out on your breath. 5 in, activation of the sympathetic. 5 out, activation of the parasympathetic. 5 in, activation of the sympathetic. 5 out, activation of the parasympathetic. Now, 4 in, activation of the sympathetic. 8 seconds out, activation of the parasympathetic for a longer period of time. So can we actually affect the balance, if needed, by altering the ratios of our breathing? Hey, I feel like I need to relax more. Okay, let's increase the exhalation, which will increase vagal tone in real time. Hey, I feel like I'm so sleepy. I can't get out of bed today. Okay, let's increase the sympathetic. Let's increase the inhalation in real time. You actually have a switch that can bring equilibrium, or that may actually be able to alter one compared to the other. Does that make sense? This is huge. This is ginormous, right? So, maybe I'm increasing sympathetic, right? Big inhalations. I feel it, right? It's like, oh my goodness. Now my heart rate's going, right? I'm ready for a run. And now, okay, in real time. In real time, I'm literally affecting those nervous systems. Okay. Do I have a preponderance to want to breathe in, sympathetic, or do I have a preponderance to want to breathe out, parasympathetic? That is real. It's like you can put your hand on your heart rate and feel it change as you're doing it. Okay. So they did. So they tested 2 different things. They did inhalation and exhalation were 4 seconds each, and then little by little, without kind of like just telling them, just saying, "Hey, just see if you can increase." Then they tried to go from 4 seconds in to 6 seconds out. 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. All right. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. They did perceived anxiety. They looked at heart rate variability. It changed. Subjective anxiety significantly decreased among both young and older adults after only a 5-minute breathing exercise. In addition, physiological stress also decreased using heart rate variability. Huge. Are there any questions? 5 minutes. That's why I say 5 minutes. And if you're on Facebook or LinkedIn or any, just take 5 minutes out of your day. You can do it. I know you can. I know you can. Don't give me any excuses. Here's another one. I got just enough time. because you say, okay, well, that's heart rate variability, anxiety. You guys know Tourette's syndrome? This was in the Journal of Clinical Neuroscience. Tourette's syndrome, also called chronic tic disorder. So people who have chronic tics, if you've seen some of these people, they can be very devastating. Can really affect quality of life. There was actually a book. I can't remember what it was, but it was written by Oliver Sacks, who was a neurologist who wrote Awakenings, and he had a book of numerous stories of people who had interesting neurological sort of symptoms, and he actually interviewed a surgeon who had Tourette's. And if you would, Anthropologists on Mars, thank you, Nicole. Anthropologists on Mars is the book. Yes, it is. And the surgeon, right? Imagine if you go to clinic and you're wanting to do you have to do surgery and they're ticks, right? And you're like, wait, who's the surgeon, right? Who's doing the ticks, or who's doing the surgery? It's like, oh, I am. Well, how can you cut, right? These are violent. These are very physical. Some people have verbal outbursts. Some people have physical outbursts. Whatever it is. And when he was in the operating room, I believe it was a he, when he was in the operating room, when he was actually performing the surgery, he would have no tics. As soon as he would go and request a scalpel from the surgical tech or, whoever was assisting, tics would come on again. And then he'd go down and it'd be cut. Right? No tics. Come up, talk to somebody, ask them what the pathology report showed, whatever it is, tics. Cut, no tics. Severe intractable tics, which are associated with Tourette's syndrome and chronic tic disorder, severely affect the quality of life. Common, less invasive treatments are often unable to attenuate tics with what is the only effective treatment? Ladies and gentlemen, we have what is called deep brain stimulation. We take probes and we stick them into your brain and we stimulate different areas of your brain so your tics stop. So now think of somebody doing this research, right? Well, what do we got? We got deep brain stimulation. Here, Linda's in the background. She raises her hand. Do you guys think nasal breathing could affect tics, ladies and gentlemen? They'd laugh at her. They'd laugh at her, right? Thanks for your question, but we got to get in. We got to get so deep into the brain that we need probes and we need electrical stimulation to get into the brain to stop these tics. Okay. And here's a group who did a study. Could deep, slow nasal breathing actually decrease tics in people with Tourette syndrome? So what they did is they took videos of patients and they counted the number of tics before doing the exercise and after doing the exercises based on video. And they had 3 people who counted the numbers, and so they wouldn't, so it would be oh, yep, that's a tick. Okay, that's a tick. Number 1, right? They had patients do deep, slow nasal breathing with lips closed. And it was important that the lips were closed so that they would only get breathing through the nose. And if they had tics where the mouth opened, then they didn't include that as a breath. So you had to do it deep, slow nasal breathing. Before and after doing the procedure, videos were used, and they asked the patients to breathe through their nose for 2 minutes. 2 minutes. That's it. And it decreased tics. Amazing. Incredible. All right. This was published in July of 2020. Our findings indicate that deep, slow nasal respiration with tight lip closure ameliorates tics in patients with Tourette syndrome or chronic tic disorder. This novel procedure could improve tics. Furthermore, our findings could contribute toward the development of tic treatments and elucidate their pathophysiology regarding the reward system, hypersensitivity, autonomic nerves, and the nasal airway. So here's the physical manifestation of a neurological disorder that the only treatment we have is essentially deep brain stimulation, where we're sticking electrodes down deep into the brain and in trying to inhibit tics that way, or doing 120 seconds of nasal breathing. Right. So we still, again, we don't know what the pathophysiology is. We don't know but this balance of, you heard it there, autonomic nerves. How is Tourette's syndrome regulated by our autonomic nervous system? How is nasal breathing bringing on a better regulation of our autonomic nervous system? All right. And the reason we go into this, you see decrease in anxiety. There's another study here at the VA in U.S. military veterans. Breathing-based meditation decreases post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms in U.S. military veterans. A randomized, controlled, longitudinal study done out of Stanford University in collaboration with Richie Davidson, who you may have heard, out of Wisconsin. Right. And so the reason for this is that we set ourselves up, we create in our system, we have a resource, we develop a place where we feel as if we can go to in terms of where we choose to place our attention. Okay, where's my attention going? Oh, it's going over here to La La Land. Oh, did you choose that? Or did you just allow it to go? Well, I didn't think I had a choice, but you do. You know you do, because I could say, pay attention to this pen. And now you're paying attention to the pen. Now I could say, pay attention to your feet. So you have a choice. So now that you have a choice, what are you choosing to place your attention on? Well, I'm always choosing to place my attention on, trying to survive and living. Well, that's your choice. Okay. Maybe you have to get food. All right. So now you have food. You have water. You have shelter, right? If the basic needs of, let's say, survival are met. Now what are you choosing to place your attention on? And so if you have a choice then from this practice, we first find a resource, regardless of what sort of spiritual practice we're doing, or, whatever it might be, breathing exercise, whether you're trying to induce a certain state, even starting from baseline, or taking a psychedelic medication, or going into surgery, or, having some sort of new unfortunate event occur in your life, is where are you choosing to place your attention, finding that resource, and first finding a place that you can place your attention on that feels safe. And it might not be in your body. If it can be in your body, that's great. But if it's not in your body, because you don't feel comfortable in your body, then you find some other place. Maybe you do loving kindness. You repeat a mantra, Ram, 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 Om, whatever, love, health, peace. You can repeat your name. You can repeat Linda's name. Doesn't matter. Linda, 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 Linda. Um, if it makes you feel safe, it's all good. It could be an imaginary place, right? Like some place that you create might be the sense of like love, it might be the sense of an emotion from somebody. Um, it doesn't matter, but that you find a place, and then, right, then you see, okay, what's going on. You sort of ask yourself, okay, what's going on in the present moment for me, and you see, can you feel sensations in your body? Like, can you feel your breath? And if you can't, or that makes you feel uncomfortable, then you stay with your resource and you titrate, or you do a sort of pendulation, right? Where you bring in, you focus your attention on your resource, and you just sort of, your gaze, almost like you're gazing out of the corner of your eye and bringing whatever it is that you're feeling that is slightly uncomfortable, right? Not bringing in the most traumatic experience you've had, but just learning how to do this process. And in that, we're learning how to expand our awareness. So we're learning how to take our attention from this resource and just sort of open it slightly, and then come back to our resource if we feel like it doesn't, I feel too much tension or tightness or whatever it might be. Okay, so we kind of almost learning how to do that, as well as then seeing, can we learn how to integrate the breath into all this? The breath being a switch to our nervous system. Okay, because it's many times our nervous system may not be able to hold what is occurring, even in the present moment for us. And so we flip our lids, we go into severe panic or something like that, or we go into freeze. And those are all, it's okay, right? We just know, okay, look, I just went into panic. But we do these exercises to try to bring in that resiliency between the nervous system, so that we can learn how to be with what comes up, irregardless of what it is, and be able to integrate it into our experience, and to be able to fully have an experience. Okay. And so the breath helps us learn how to, because it's something we can think about consciously. If you can't feel it, you can just think about it. Okay, I'm going to breathe. What are you going to do? Try breathing with your nose, slowly and deeply. That's it. How long do you have to do it? Well, the tick study showed 120 seconds, and you may actually feel a difference in your physiology. And the more you do it, what happens? Just like anything, the more you do it, the more you're actually bringing in, the more you're training that part of your body, right? Whether it's your nervous system or whatever it is. And the better then you get at it, once you become good at it, let's say, then your body you'll start feeling different. You start feeling as if you're learning how to increase that tolerance. Oh, wow. I was walking down the street and that person yelled at me, and usually I would flip my lid or flip them off or whatever it is, yell at them. And this time I was like, oh, maybe you start feeling compassion for the person. I don't know, right? I don't know, but you'll start to notice things. You start to notice being able to be in your body more by noticing, even because you'll be integrating all these things, right? The resourcing, the titration, the pendulation, the breathing, resourcing, titration, pendulation, breath, resourcing, titration, pendulation, breath. Okay. And the breath, you can always go to, right? What am I going to do? I'm going to breathe. But I can't get that thought out of my head. Oh, but I'm going to breathe. Okay. I don't have to get the thought out of my head. I don't have to do anything. And I might hum. Right? I might exhale. I might increase the exhale longer than the inhale. as I'm doing that, my attention is going to my resource. Right? Linda. See, I am nuts. All right. But you're doing it simultaneously. Right. So what am I doing? Right. So here it is. Right. Okay. Oh my God, I got that thought. Oh, and I have that thought. Oh my God, I just go into panic and I start to tense all over. Oh, breathe. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. Love, love, love. And you start notice the tight hold of it starts to decrease, right? It's sort of like, okay, here I'm breathing, I'm extending my exhale. Take a deep breath. I'm breathing. Where's my attention going to? Well, I know my attention could go to that really. I'm just tightening up. I can't help it. I'm tightening up, right? What is that going to do? Activate more sympathetic response. Okay, as opposed to going to my resource. Go to my resource, right? Noticing heat, whatever it is, right? I'm noticing tingling coming out of my forehead. Whoa, trippy. Crazy. It feels like there's bugs crawling all over my face. Where did that come from? Right? Oh, interesting. Bugs. Maybe I have a fear of bugs. Whoa, does it feel like I did go, right? I think I told you guys. I went to the mirror and I checked to make sure that ants weren't crawling on my head. And I was on no drugs whatsoever, except for life. Okay. And I'd be like, oh, interesting. This is an interesting sensation, right? Does that make sense? Makes sense. Because that's the basic. That then, now we start going into the body. So if you're not here, I'm going to have to say, repeat sessions 1 through 4. How many have we done already? I can't even remember. These things don't, but
I believe this is 6.
Oh, 6. Okay, so go through 6 sessions. Find your resource. Learn how to titrate and pendulate, and be able to consciously breathe or hum. That's it. Find your resource, titrate. And that to me, right, from my personal experience, opens up the whole doorway to everything. It's like, oh, can you find your resource? Can you breathe? Can you titrate? Where are you choosing to pay attention? Where are you choosing? How many times have you asked yourself in the last week, where am I paying attention to? Is it something that I consciously decided? What am I paying attention to? What am I choosing? All right.
That's interesting too, Mauro, when you're titrating and you're trying to breathe yourself out of an emotion you don't want to feel. There's a point where you actually can choose to let it go or choose to hold on to it, is what I've noticed.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And that's so beautiful. And in the practice, you'll be more free and have that resiliency to, oh, what if I do let it go? What comes next? Oh, what if I hold on? Huh. It's like here's your like little, right? Maybe you get to that point. Beautiful. Let go. Hold on. And you might even be able to test both. How is this? What if I let go? Resist. Nothing. Oh, what if I resist? Oh. Felt that one. Okay. Let go. And then tears come flowing down your eyes. You're like, wow, what was that? I don't know. This is like the basics. So if you're new to the group today or you haven't practiced, work on for a week for the rest of, until you're ready. What I would do is I'd really just pay attention to your resource, finding a place you feel as if you can pay attention to, that you feel safe. That's it. And then, right, so if that's all you do, that's all you can do that. Okay, so find a place where you say, okay, I can place my attention on this, whatever that is. Go back to our resource lecture if you need to find, recommendations of that. And that's your practice, where it's like, oh, my mind is wandering, come back to your resource. My mind is wandering, come back. And the breath may be your resource. Right? And the resource may actually change with time as you do this practice, as you do the practices. Right? Resource, mind wanders, worries, emotions come up, resource. Just say thank you, not now. Just sort of like acknowledge, right? Whatever comes up, just say, okay, we'll get there. Give yourself 6 months to a year. Right? Give it like some cookies and let it just kind of do its thing in the corner. We'll get to you. I promise. We'll get to you. All right. Then, right, from your resource, then say, okay, can I open up to just what's coming up for me now? So from your resource, can I open up to what's coming up? Oh, whew, man, that was quick. That came up. Okay. Now what comes up? Well, I noticed constriction in my chest. Okay. Can you be with it? The moment you can't be with it, feel like this is too much, back to your resource. Back to your resource. Now you go back to your resource. You go, whew, and you may notice, right? Take a deep breath. You might, wow, that was quick. That was interesting. Okay. Right? If you feel discombobulated, open your eyes if your eyes were closed. Right? Reorient. Really good ways of reorienting. Feeling your feet on the ground, feeling your hands on your lap, looking at the colors of the walls, identifying things on your walls that you feel familiar with, right? Telling yourself what city and state and location you're in. All those are really good places. Where am I? Oh, walls are green, ceiling's white, feet are on the floor. Give me some water. I need water. Right? Might happen. Right? So it's good to have the tools to be like, okay, this is cool. And then, right? Okay, so now we're at that stage. All right, I'm slowly titrating. What did I ask you to titrate? Your present moment experience. That's it. That's it, right? We'll just ask yourself, what is coming up for me right now? I'm not asking you about anything else, right? I'm not asking you to bring in your childhood trauma or anything. No, just what's coming up for you right now. Because many people can't even be with that. And notice, okay, what's coming up? Can I be with what's coming? No, I cannot. Okay, good. Just being aware of that is half the battle. Go to your resource. God, that feels good. Okay. Am I ever going to get to right? Then the doubt, the self-judgment comes in, like Maxine's like, this sucks. I'm not getting anywhere, right? Because it's not the pill that's going to happen in 5 minutes or 5 seconds. But it will happen, because what's going to happen is that you're actually retraining your entire system. You're retraining your entire mind. You're retraining your entire body, your heart, your brain, your nervous system, your vagus nerve, your glands, your digestion. Everything is going to start changing. Right? Can you be with what is? If you can't be with it right now. Okay, Go back to your resource. Breathe. Right? Just noticing that you can't be with what is right now. Breathe. There's probably a sympathetically driven charge that arose, most likely. So therefore, balancing that with your breath is your switch. That's it. Right? That then sends that. Now we breathe, and you're going to do this simultaneously. Resource. Being with what is, simply asking your question, can I be with what is? And seeing, oh, hey, no, can't do it. Okay, back to your resource. Breathe. Extend the exhale. Hum. Whatever you want to do. Do your ujjayi breath. Anything, right? Repeat your mantra. Feel the love of a loved one. Resource. What's arising for me right now? Can you be with what is present? No. Yes. No. Yes. Back to your resource. Breathe. And that then is the practice that sets the foundation for the rest. Where then you can alter, you can do holotropic breath work, you can have a spontaneous Kundalini experience and not flip your lid. Or have it recur over and over and be like, hey, I can actually ride these waves as opposed to get overwhelmed by them. I've trained my nervous system in such a way to be able to increase that zone of tolerance to such a degree, right, that our awareness is expanding so great that now we are the biggest vessel and we can hold it all. It's like, here we are, okay. Pure awareness that can hold it all. And as the experiences come and go, which you know they will do, you're able to actually integrate them into your present moment experience. Just like a flowing cycle of energy you're opening yourself up to. But it takes that ability to be like, oh, you know. The analogy that I've given is, a few times is sort of like, if you open up a dam, but you only got like a hole like this big for the water to go through. So there'd be a lot of pressure on that dam. But if you slowly like kind of work at that and you kind of open it up, right? Slowly open it up, and that's kind of what the practice is slowly opening it up. Or if you put a light bulb, like we can't go to like we can't go to like the light company wherever their plant is and put a light bulb at the plant because the light bulb would explode. So the light bulb isn't actually made to get the energy that directly comes from the plant. It's too high wattage. But through a series of transmitters and condensers or transformers, we then get the light at our home where we could put the light bulb in, and what does it do? It lights up. Right? So that's kind of the purpose of learning. It's like the transformers are the ability of our nervous system to, let's say, take source energy and ability to integrate it into our bodies so that our body can actually use it.